Portal. Current events. Portal. Talk language. Watch view source. Worldwide current events. Sports events. Recent deaths. Entry views by week list. Today's most viewed articles. Topics in the news. Alan Greenspan, former chair of the U.S. Federal Reserve. Alan Greenspan. Pictured. Dies at the age of 100. Keir Starmer announces his intention to resign as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. An attack by Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam while Muslim at the Diary Hamani International Airport in Niger kills 35 people, including 22 gunmen. In motorsport, Nick De Vries, Kamui Kobayashi and Mike Conway of Toyota Racing win the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Ongoing. Bolivian protests. Ebola epidemic. FIFA World Cup. Flamingo Revolution. Iran War. Lebanon War. Russo-Ukrainian War timeline. Sudanese Civil War timeline. Recent deaths. Clive Davis. Walter Parazada. Robert Thurman. Carlo Ginsberg. Bobby Prince. Abdel Ibrahim. Nominated article June 25th, 2026. Thursday. Edifice Story Watch June 24th, 2026. Wednesday. Edifice Story Watch Armed Conflicts and Attacks. Middle Eastern Crisis. Gaza War. The Israel Defense Forces announces that it has eliminated Hamas militant Bakr Mohammed Mahmoud Abu Machi, who took part in the October 7th attacks on Israel during an airstrike in southern Gaza. Additionally, the Israeli Air Force and IDF publishes on X a photo of him during the October 7th onslaught. Times of Israel. Israel National News. 2026. Lebanon War. Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz says Israeli forces will not withdraw from southern Lebanon even if the United States demands it, adding that 200,000 residents will not return to their homes. Al Jazeera. Russo-Ukrainian War attacks in Russia. During the Russo-Ukrainian War, Ukrainian forces launch long-range drone strikes inside Russia, striking the Orenburg gas processing plant, which also houses the only helium plant in Russia, and also striking two Russian satellite communications company facilities, including one in Moscow Oblast and another in Vladimir Oblast. Russia says its forces have shot down 323 Ukrainian drones overnight. AP Crimea attacks. Ukrainian missiles strike two Russian military airfields and several air defense systems in Crimea. AP. Sudanese Civil War crimes. During the Sudanese Civil War, the Sudan Doctors Network reports that more than 215 civilians have died at the Dakris prison in Sudan's South Darfur state from the spread of diseases and epidemics, as well as torture and mistreatment of detainees. AA Business and Economy. Economic impact of the 2026 Iran War. 2026 Iran War fuel crisis. Global oil prices fall to their lowest level since February 27th, the day before the war started on February 28th. Additionally, Brent crude futures dropped to US $73.50 a barrel. ABC News. CNN. Disasters and accidents. 2026 United States wildfires. 2026 Colorado wildfires. A wildfire burns over 350 acres and destroys a home in Garfield County, Colorado, US, prompting evacuations. 9 News. 2026 Utah wildfires. The Cottonwood fire burns over 59,000 acres near the Eagle Point Resort in Beaver, Utah, US, with Governor Spencer Cox saying it is the most destructive fire in the state's history. Additionally, the video shows a cabin at Eagle Point being destroyed completely by the wildfire. The Salt Lake Tribune. 2026 Venezuela earthquakes. A doublet earthquake consisting of a megawatt 7.24 shock and a megawatt 7.5 main shock strikes the Venezuelan state of Yaracuy. Severe damage and collapsed buildings are recorded in Caracas, with casualties being unknown. AP The New York Times. After the deadly fire in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, India, that killed 15 people, authorities across the state closed down 59 coaching institutes found to be violating fire safety standards as part of a statewide enforcement drive. Deccan Herald. 5 people are killed and 20 injured after an construction warehouse collapses in West Bengal, India. Xinhua. The Indian Express. Health and Environment. The U.S. military will require recruits to take the influenza vaccine amidst influenza outbreak at the Lackland Air Force Base in Bear County, Texas. U.S. move comes after U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth lifted the military vaccine mandate. CBS News. Reuters. Law and crime. Protests against the Russo-Ukrainian War. Anti-war protests in Russia. Yabloko deputy leader Maxim Kruglev is convicted and will face 7 years in prison over his anti-war stance on social media, including remarks about the Russian army. Reuters. Politics and elections. 2026 Colombian presidential election. Historic PAC's candidate Ivan Cepeda concedes defeat in the presidential election won by Abelardo de la Espriella. BBC. The United States Army confirms that General Chris Donahue, the commanding general of United States Army Europe and Africa, will step down on July 2nd, following a report by The Atlantic that he is being pressured by Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. Task and purpose. CBS News.